What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JJD TV. I'm your host, Josh, and today we got a very cool little episode coming up for you guys because we have an exciting partnership that's coming up, and it's to focus around on something new that we're bringing to the channel, and that is a featured game. We absolutely love doing the watch-alongs with you guys. They've had a huge success, and it just brings, like I said, all of us Dortmund fans from all over the world together for that. And saying that, and you probably heard me say a little bit on the channel, is how excited I am that the Bundesliga is growing in general in the North American market. With that being said, I actually like watching more games than just Dortmund. I obviously want to watch every Dortmund game because they're my club, but watching some of the other big games between some of the other top clubs and some other clubs I just generally like is actually pretty fun. So I was talking with the people that we're actually partnering up with to bring you guys a featured match watch along. Now this match watch along is going to be very unique because it's not going to happen every week. Believe it or not, producer T and I have full-time jobs, so the odd time we actually may not be able to make a Dortmund watch along because we are obviously busy, but we don't want to miss out on doing watch along with you guys because it's some of the funnest parts of our weeks. It's awesome. So if we miss one, it's nice to know that we can actually do another watch along and get you guys together, because most of the time when we're talking about like a big tilt, like a Gladbach Leverkusen game, Gladbach Leipzig game, whatever it may be, we're watching it regardless. We might as well do it together. So that's gonna be something cool that we're gonna be doing. We don't know exactly how we're gonna pick these featured games. They may come on the same weekend when we do a watch along with Dortmund. They may not because we can't do a Dortmund one. It's all in the works right now, but it's pretty excited to do it. So with that, gave me the idea of actually doing my first tier list. I've seen a lot of tier lists done before. I've never actually done one. And what the tier list is gonna be today is me ranking the 18 Bundesliga clubs. Because we'll be doing these featured games, we'll be covering, we're gonna cover all the teams in general, but because we may cover a team without Dortmund actually playing at some point, it's curious to see actually how I feel about all the clubs and where I wanna rank them. So looking at my tier list and the way I described it, we're gonna have at the very bottom, hate. And I don't wanna use the word hate, but it's just, it's the one we gotta use. So it's gonna be hate, followed by really dislike, neutral, like, really like, and my club. And there's only gonna be one my club. We know exactly which club it is. It's the club that I and producer T created a channel about. But I actually haven't done this yet. I'm doing it very naturally right now. And I'm gonna go through all the Bundesliga clubs and I'm gonna rank them. And I'm gonna really naturally see how I actually feel about the clubs. So to start off, we're gonna start with my club. And it's gonna start it off with Borussia Dortmund because we obviously know exactly where they are. There's gonna be no other clubs going into the top of the table, my club. And yeah, I don't need to explain why I love Borussia Dortmund. You guys know that by now. They are my favorite club, so obviously they're going to be the one at the top of the tier. But now we're not gonna go through each tier. We're gonna go through the clubs first and see exactly where they are. So the first club that we're gonna look at besides Borussia Dortmund is Arminia Bielefeld. And having to take a look at the table, I'm not exactly sure where I wanted to put them because I don't know a lot about the club. I really didn't follow them, obviously, when they were down in the second division, but for the most part, I don't really like them. There's no players really on the team that stand out to me. I want them to get relegated because I just don't think they have a club to stay up in the Bundesliga. So just going off that natural instinct, I'm gonna probably put them at really dislike because yeah, there's just nothing really I can say that I love about them, and I want to see them get relegated because I think that there's actually some better clubs to come up in the second division. Moving on over to Augsburg. Augsburg's always been a team that I've just never fancied. They also beat us 2-0 this season already, so doesn't help. But I don't know. I definitely don't really dislike them. I just have never really felt anything for the club, and I actually in my predictions video predicted them, to get relegated. So they're showing me up right now. So I'm gonna slide them into just dislike, just because I don't not love them, but I don't even feel neutral about them. I just got that little bit of dislike for them. But the next club is Borussia Mönchengladbach. And it's kind of unique finding a feel for these clubs because I watch a lot more of Borussia Mönchengladbach than I would an Arminia Bielefeld or a Augsburg because they compete in Europe. And I find myself cheering for them when they're in Europe. So, if you find yourself cheering for a club, like, obviously you like them a little bit. So for me, I love watching the games with Gladbach. Obviously I love when Dortmund beat them, but we have a good little working relationship. A lot of transfers happen back and forth, and I'd like to see them do good, whether they're in the Europa League or the Champions League. So for me, I'm gonna slide Gladbach into like. For our next club, Bayern Munich. And you'd probably expect me to put them in hate, and I don't want to put them in hate, so I'm probably gonna slide them into really dislike, because, I mean, and it's funny because I just said, like, I like watching Gladbach do well in Europe. I actually really don't like watching Bayern do well in Europe. I don't really want to see them get knocked out in the group stage or even the round of 16, but for me, icing on the cake when they get knocked out in the quarters. I'm sorry, I don't want to see them obviously do drastically horrible, but for me, watching them win the Champions last year gave me absolutely no joy. It helped a little bit that they were against PSG, but I mean, I don't know. The history between the clubs, obviously the Lewandowski, even though you can't really blame Bayern because he's a free agent, but you know that there was something going behind the doors. The Götze situation, but then they picked up the Canadian Davies, so you know, my head's all over the place, but I think it's fair to put them in really disliked. The next team is obviously Cologne, and as many Dortmund fans have a little soft spot for Cologne, and honestly, this is probably going to be the only team to make the really liked, because I want to put at least one club in all of the tiers. And yeah, Cologne's just been an awesome team to watch over the years. They have such amazing fans. You've seen the commitment as well as some of the players. When they got relegated, you saw Timo Horn as well as Jonas Hector stay with the club when they definitely could have went to another Bundesliga side. They want to stay with the club that they love. They're back up where they belong in Bundesliga. And yeah, I got a real soft spot for them. So they're my team that slides right under Dortmund. Going on to Eintracht Frankfurt, a team that we know Bayern fans don't obviously love, but they made me very happy when they beat Bayern in the cup final those years ago. But I don't mind them at all. I'm gonna probably slide them into neutral. I really liked some of the players like Dost and Silva on their team, and I just have never had an issue with them. So I wouldn't say I like them, but I definitely don't like them. So for me, a neutral is a good fit for them. And then if there's one club on this list that I think is the definition of neutral, is Freiburg. And I honestly couldn't care less about them in the fact that I care if they win or lose. There's been some good players on Freiburg over the years that have gone on to other clubs because they've done well. We saw Philip come over from them to join us in Dortmund, and I actually really liked him as a player. He's now obviously with Wolfsburg, but yeah, for me, I don't know. Take it or leave it. Neutral is my Freiburg. Then going over to Hertha Berlin, and I like what Berlin's doing. I really rate their manager. I really like Cunha. They picked up some pieces and trying to build a bit of a future here, as well as obviously having a great stadium and good fans. But for me, again, there's just nothing that has jumped out to make me love them or definitely dislike them. So neutral is where we're going to throw them. The next club is Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim is a team that's going to slide right into the dislike. I didn't like them for many reasons before the whole 51 rule kind of thing they've been trying to break it. So just for me in general, they've just never been a club that has ever stood out to me. I don't want to really see them get relegated because they do have some good players, and it's good seeing them actually compete and get into Europe and whatnot. But for me, they're just a club that's never really tickled my fancy, and I just rather see them in mid-table kind of place, you know. Moving on to there, we're going to go to Leverkusen, and Leverkusen, just like Gladbach, is going to go into the like, and it's because, like I said, when I see them in the Champions League, when I see them in the Europa League, I want to see them do well. And I like seeing teams like Gladbach and Leverkusen compete for the top four and to actually get into the top four. So for me, it's hard to say that you dislike that club. I mean, they produce a lot of good talent. It's always a good game when they play Dortmund. I obviously like seeing us beat them, but for me, yeah, they slide into the like tier pretty easily. Then is Mainz, and Mainz is another club. I mean, yes, Klopp, Tuchel, I mean, like, is that nice little connection, but for me, it's just not enough for me to like them. I don't like many of their players. I think they're obviously this season in a lot of trouble, and it wouldn't bother me if they got relegated. I kind of don't really want to see them, but I mean, again, it wouldn't bother me, so I'm going to slide them into the dislike just because it just seems like a fit. And then is the controversial one. It's the one that I really am looking forward to your guys' comments, because you see Leipzig get ridiculed all over Twitter, Instagram, whatever it be, because of that 51 rule in Germany. And it's one that is very, very important to the supporters there, and if you screw with it, you're in trouble. Obviously, Red Bull is trying to play with it, just like Hoffenheim got itself in trouble with that, but Leipzig is one that just goes overboard. But as a Canadian, honestly, I didn't grow up in that kind of mindset, so it's crazy to me to see that the way that they're getting treated. I totally understand it, but for me, seeing Leipzig climb up the tables and seeing some players like Poulsen and Forsberg stick with them throughout the years to get to where they are now, to me, it's kind of cool. But then looking at what obviously the 51 rule represents, totally shatters that. So I know I've seen a lot of tiers that have them in dead last. You absolutely hate them. I just can't justify hating them. But I totally respect them. I'm trying to become the culture that we know and love from the Germans. So I'm gonna slide them into the you really dislike, just because, I don't know, I like that they are bringing some competition to the top 4 race, but we're totally respecting, obviously, the rule, and it just, yeah, really dislike is a fit for me. And then it leads to the only club that's gonna go into our hate. And it's funny because I'm gonna say this, but I don't want to see them get relegated. And that's Schalke. I mean, there's so many things over the years that make you hate a club, and it's a rivalry. It's a fierce rivalry, but it's a club that you absolutely hate because you were raised that way. And my first memory of Dortmund, way back when I started following them, was the hatred and the passion between these two clubs. So it's natural. I mean, I gotta put one club for me in these tiers. There's no getting around that our most fierce rivals are Schalke, and you want to see them in there. But it's hard because I don't want to see them get relegated. I don't want to miss out on the derby from year to year, and who knows how long it's going to take them to get back up if they get relegated this season. But I do like seeing them do bad, and I hate that they've taken some important points over us in the past few seasons. And then it goes over to Stuttgart, and they're a club that I was pretty excited that got promoted last year because I didn't think they belonged in the second division, and they got a couple good players like Gonzalez, as well as Castro, our former boy. So, I mean, I'd say I like them. I really respect what their manager has done there, and they're having a strong season. So I'm going to put them up in the like, another club to join the likes of Leverkusen, Gladbach, and just because I'm happy to see what they've done, and I hope good things for Stuttgart. Then moves on to Union Berlin. And Union Berlin's a team that I'm going to have to go probably neutral with. I was thinking more dislike because, I mean, I didn't really like them last season. It's kind of like the Arminia Bielefeld story where I just thought they were going to get relegated and didn't have a lot of quality, but they completely proved me wrong. I really like Max Kruse, so for me, I guess neutral is a fit for Union Berlin, and I'm excited to see them do relatively well in the Bundesliga. Werder Bremen is another club that I actually kind of like. I was toying between neutral and like, but last season, I mean, if it made me like them in any way, it was because of that unbelievable escape from relegation. What makes me really not like them is that they beat us out of the DFB Pokal in the round of 16 a couple seasons in a row. But that is, I mean, come on. You can't get mad at them for beating us. Yes, you can. You can definitely get mad at them. I was furious at them. But I was actually absolutely impressed with the way that they snuck through relegation last season and seeing what it meant to the coach, the managers, the players. It was honestly super cool to see, and they're a big club as well. I don't want to see them get relegated, so for me, got them just up to the like. And Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg is another club where I'd say I like just because the same kind of reasons as Gladbach and Leverkusen. They're a club that competes in Europe. A few seasons ago when they weren't doing so well and actually fighting for relegation, I remember watching those relegation first and second legs between the two clubs and just praying that Wolfsburg won because I didn't want to see a club like that get relegated and thought they had too much talent. Now they're up comfortably where they belong and fighting for Europa League spot, and I'm happy to see that, so I think that justifies me liking them. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end to my little tier list there of the Bundesliga clubs, because we're going to be trying to cover a featured match from time to time. Like I said, not every week, so I definitely want to see what you guys have to think about that. Let me know what your tier lists are. I'm hoping this comments should be a lot of fun seeing that. That's how I took the 18 Bundesliga teams and ranked them. It's kind of unique because I said I did it pretty naturally with you guys, but I definitely want to see what you guys think. I'm very curious to see where you guys are going to put Leipzig. I'm assuming at the bottom, but I try to justify you why I don't really hate them. But yeah, I mean, this was a lot of fun making this video, and I hope you guys might like the featured match kind of idea we have, and especially with the partnership that we have coming up, it should be pretty fun. It's just to help, again, grow the Bundesliga in the North American market. It's all what I want to be able to do here. We are a Dortmund channel, but I'm going to be watching some of these big clashes like the Leipzig, Gladbach, Leverkusen, Wolfsburg, those kind of games. I'm going to want to watch them anyway, so I might as well watch them with you guys and think it might be cool in case we can't make a watch along. So definitely let me know what you guys think. The polls we did on Twitter and Instagram suggested we should do it, so we kind of went ahead with it, and we're going to test out and see how it goes. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're new around here, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.